The parking garage confrontation happened on a Thursday night when Selena Vaughn, the 30-year-old billionaire who controlled half the city's commercial real estate, grabbed her assistant's wrist and asked the one question she swore she'd never ask anyone. "Why did you never ask me out?" Ryan Carter stood frozen, briefcase in hand, trying to process how 3 years of professional perfection had just shattered in 10 seconds. His phone buzzed with a reminder: Ethan's birthday dinner in 40 minutes. And suddenly, the carefully constructed distance between boss and employee collapsed entirely. What happened next would change everything they thought they knew about control, loneliness, and what it actually meant to let someone in. If you're curious how a single father and an emotionally untouchable billionaire went from professional boundaries to something neither of them saw coming, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Ryan Carter's alarm went off at 6:15 a.m., same as always. He rolled out of bed in the darkness of his small 2-bedroom apartment, padding quietly past Ethan's room where his 8-year-old son slept tangled in Star Wars sheets. The coffee maker was already programmed. His suit, gray, perfectly pressed, hung on the bathroom door. By 6:47, he was showered, dressed, and packing Ethan's lunch with the mechanical efficiency of someone who'd done this exact routine 1,000 times. "Dad?" Ethan's voice drifted from the bedroom, groggy and small. Ryan stuck his head through the doorway. "Yeah, bud. Is today really Thursday?" "All day long." Ethan sat up, suddenly alert. "So tomorrow's my birthday dinner?" 7 o'clock. I already made the reservation. "At Mario's?" "Where else?" The kid grinned, flopping back onto his pillow. "Awesome." Ryan felt the familiar tug in his chest, half pride, half exhaustion. 3 years of single parenthood had taught him that promises to an 8-year-old carried more weight than billion-dollar contracts. You could reschedule a meeting. You couldn't reschedule trust. He left the apartment at 7:18, caught the subway at 7:31, and walked through the chrome and glass entrance of Carter & Holdings at exactly 7:43 a.m. The security guard nodded. "Morning, Mr. Carter." "Morning, Pete." 42nd floor, executive suite. Ryan's desk sat in a small alcove directly outside Selena Vaughn's corner office, close enough to hear her on conference calls, far enough to maintain the illusion of separation. He dropped his bag, powered up his laptop, and began the daily ritual that had defined his life for the past 3 years. Selena's calendar. Back-to-back meetings from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Investor call at 8 a.m. Lunch blocked off, but she never ate it anyway. He printed her briefing documents, arranged them in order of priority, brewed her coffee exactly 4 minutes before she arrived. Black, no sugar, hot enough to burn but not scalding, and positioned it on her desk at a 45-degree angle to her keyboard. At 8:29 a.m., the elevator doors opened. Selena Vaughn stepped out like she owned the building, which she did. She was 30 years old and looked like someone who'd figured out how to turn ice into currency. Dark hair pulled back in a style that probably had a French name Ryan didn't know. Suit sharp enough to cut glass. Heels that made a specific kind of sound on marble. The sound of someone who didn't apologize for taking up space. She walked past Ryan's desk without looking at him. "Good morning, Ms. Vaughn." "Oh, what the—" "Morning." She disappeared into her office, door closing with a soft click. Ryan exhaled. 3 years. And he still felt like he was holding his breath around her. The morning unfolded in its usual controlled chaos. Ryan fielded calls, rescheduled 2 meetings that conflicted, sent polite but firm emails to people trying to get FaceTime with Selena, and made sure the marketing team's presentation didn't have any typos before it hit her desk. By 11 a.m., he'd solved 4 problems she didn't even know existed yet. That was the job. Anticipate, execute, disappear. He was good at it, better than good. In 3 years, he'd never missed a deadline, never let a scheduling conflict slip through, never once forced Selena to deal with something he could handle himself. Other assistants lasted 6 months before burning out or getting fired. Ryan had outlasted all of them. People around the office called him the perfect employee. Ryan called it survival. At 12:30, Selena's door opened. She stood in the doorway, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, looking like she'd just verbally dismantled someone on a conference call. "I need the Singapore contracts pulled. Also, did Franklin confirm for tomorrow?" "Contracts are already on your desk. Franklin confirmed at 10 this morning." What about the Newark property inspection? Postponed to next week. The surveyor had a family emergency, says. Selena paused, studying him for half a second longer than necessary. You already rescheduled it. Yes. Without asking me. You were on a call. It needed to happen. Her expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Not anger, not gratitude. Something harder to name. Fine. She turned back into her office. Ryan returned to his email. That was how it always went. Selena never thanked him, never praised him, never acknowledged the hundreds of small fires he put out before they reached her. But she trusted him. In a world where Selena Vaughn trusted almost no one, that meant something. It had to. The afternoon crawled. Investor presentations, contract revisions, a tense call with a lawyer in Boston that Ryan could hear through the door. By 4 p.m., the office felt like a pressure cooker about to blow. At 5:15, Selena emerged again, this time looking genuinely exhausted. She dropped into the chair across from Ryan's desk, something she almost never did. How bad was Boston? Ryan asked carefully. They're stalling, probably shopping the deal to other buyers. You want me to push the meeting to Monday? Give them the weekend to sweat? Selena almost smiled. Almost. Already ahead of me. It's my job. She leaned back, rubbing her temples. For a moment, she looked less like a billionaire and more like someone who hadn't slept in 3 days. You have plans tonight? Ryan blinked. In 3 years, Selena had never asked him a personal question. Nothing major. Why? I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on the Miami acquisition. I want your take before I call the board. You don't need my take. You already know what you're doing. Humor me, but Ryan glanced at the clock. 5:17. He needed to leave by 5:45 to pick up Ethan on time. But if Selena wanted to talk strategy, he could give her 20 minutes. Okay, what's the hesitation? The market's soft. If I overpay now, I look desperate. You've never overpaid for anything in your life. Exactly. So why does this feel different? Ryan considered it. Because it's not about the money. It's about timing. You're betting the market turns before everyone else realizes it. Selena's eyes sharpened. And if I'm wrong, you won't be. That's not analysis. That's faith. You don't pay me for faith. You pay me to tell you when something's worth the risk. This is... For a long moment, Selena just looked at him. Then she stood, smoothing her skirt. I'll call the board tonight. She walked back into her office, and Ryan let out a slow breath. 5:34 p.m. Tomorrow was Ethan's birthday dinner. Ryan had promised. Mario's at 7. No excuses, no delays, no work emergencies. He started packing his bag. At 5:52, Selena's voice cut through the office. Ryan, I need the Jakarta files before you leave. He stopped mid-motion. They're in the shared folder, tagged and sorted. I want the physical binder. Ryan frowned. The physical binder was in the storage room on 41. It would take 15 minutes, maybe 20. He glanced at the clock again, 5:53. Ms. Vaughn, Problem? He could hear the edge in her voice. Selena didn't like hearing the word no, even when it was implied. Ryan exhaled. No. I'll grab it. He took the stairs down to 41, found the binder buried behind 3 others, and jogged back up. By the time he dropped it on her desk, it was 6:11. Selena didn't look up. Thanks. Ryan stood in the doorway, debating. Then he said it. I need to leave early tomorrow. Selena's fingers froze on her keyboard. Slowly, she turned to face him. Early? Yes. How early? 5:30. Her eyebrows lifted a fraction. In 3 years, Ryan had never left before 6:30. Why? I have a date. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Selena's expression went completely neutral, the same look she wore during hostile negotiations. A date? Yes. Tomorrow. Yes. With someone. Ryan almost laughed at the absurdity of the phrasing, but Selena's face told him this was not a moment for humor. That's generally how dates work. Something shifted behind her eyes. Not anger. Something worse. Selena stood slowly, crossing her arms. You've worked here 3 years. I know. You've never mentioned dating anyone. You've never asked. I don't ask personal questions. Exactly. The silence stretched. Ryan could feel his pulse in his throat. He had no idea why this felt so dangerous, but it did. Finally, Selena's voice dropped lower. Is it serious? I don't know yet. But serious enough to leave early? Yes. Selena turned away, staring out the window at the city sprawled below. When she spoke again, her voice was colder. Fine. Leave at 5:30. I'll manage. Ryan hesitated. Ms. Vaughn, close the door on your way out. He left. That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the conversation, trying to figure out what he'd done wrong. Selena had looked at him like he'd betrayed her, which made no sense. He was her assistant, not her property. But the look in her eyes, he'd never seen her rattled before. The next morning, Ryan arrived at 7:43 as always, but the air in the office felt different. Selena was already at her desk, attacking emails with the kind of focused intensity that usually meant someone was about to get fired. She didn't acknowledge him when he set down her coffee, didn't speak to him during the 9 a.m. meeting, didn't ask him to sit in on the investor call. By noon, Ryan realized what was happening. She was freezing him out. At 3 p.m., he knocked on her door. Ms. Vaughn, do you need anything before I leave today? No. The board reports are finalized. Franklin's presentation is queued. I said no. Ryan gritted his teeth. Understood. He turned to go. Ryan! He stopped. Selena's voice was dangerously quiet. Who is she? Ryan turned back slowly. Excuse me? The woman you're seeing tonight, who is she? That's not really... I'm asking. No. Ryan felt anger flicker in his chest. 3 years of professional boundaries, and now she wanted details about his personal life? Why does it matter? It doesn't. Then why are you asking? Selena stood, and for the first time since he'd known her, she looked unsteady. Because you've been here every single day for 3 years. You know my schedule better than I do. You've seen me at my worst, and you've never flinched. And now you're telling me there's someone else who gets a version of you I've never even seen. Ryan stared at her. Ms. Vaughn, don't. She held up a hand. Just go. Enjoy your date. Man, that's Jim D-san. But Ryan didn't move because suddenly he understood. Selena Vaughn wasn't angry. She was jealous. The realization hit him like cold water. For 3 years, he'd assumed she saw him as nothing more than a highly competent assistant, a tool she used to keep her life running smoothly. But the way she was looking at him right now, with something raw and unguarded flickering behind the ice, she didn't want him to leave. Not the office. Her. Ms. Vaughn, Ryan said carefully, I think we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I think there is. Selena's jaw tightened. You're going to be late for your date. I have time. Ryan, why didn't you ever ask me out? The question landed like a slap. Selena's face went pale. What? 3 years, Ryan said quietly. If you wanted something more than professional, why didn't you say so? Because that's not... She stopped, composure cracking. You're my assistant. And you're my boss. So what? So everything. Selena's voice rose. I can't just... People don't what? They don't stay. The words burst out of her, sharp and jagged. Everyone leaves, Ryan. Everyone. Business partners, relationships, family. They all leave the second I stop being useful or profitable or perfect. The only reason you're still here is because I pay you to be. Ryan felt something twist in his chest. You really believe that? It's true. It's not. Then why are you leaving early to see someone else? The vulnerability in her voice nearly broke him. Ryan took a slow breath. Because tomorrow is my son's 8th birthday, and I promised him dinner at his favorite restaurant. Selena froze. The office went silent. Your son, she repeated slowly. Yeah. You have a son. Yeah. You've never mentioned, you never asked. Selena sank back into her chair, looking like she'd been physically struck. You have a son. Ryan nodded. And the date is dinner with Ethan at Mario's Pizza. It's been on the calendar for 2 months. Selena covered her face with her hands. When she finally looked up, her eyes were glassy. I'm an idiot. No. I just accused you of, I thought you were. She laughed bitterly. I'm a complete idiot. Ryan moved closer, perching on the edge of her desk. For what it's worth, I thought you knew. How would I know? You never talk about your personal life. You never ask about personal lives. You made that pretty clear from day one. Selena flinched. That's fair. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside the window, the city hummed with late afternoon traffic. Finally, Selena spoke. What's his name? Ethan. How old? Turning 8 tomorrow. And his mother? Ryan's expression hardened. Not in the picture. Hasn't been for 6 years. I'm sorry. Don't be. We're better off. Selena studied him with new eyes, like she was seeing someone completely different from the man who'd stood outside her office for 3 years. You're a single father. Yeah, and you've been managing my insane schedule while raising a kid alone. Pretty much. How? Ryan shrugged. Same way everyone does. You just figure it out. Selena shook her head slowly. I don't know how you do it. Says the woman who runs a billion-dollar empire. Oh, that's different. That's just money and strategy. You're talking about an actual human who depends on you for everything. He's the easy part, Ryan said honestly. Work is harder. Selena almost smiled. I doubt that. You've never met Ethan? No, she said quietly. I haven't. The implication hung between them. Ryan checked his watch. 5:23. He still had time, but barely. He stood, smoothing his tie. I should go. Yeah. He made it halfway to the door before Selena spoke again. Ryan? He turned. She looked smaller, somehow, less armored. Would you? If it's not too strange. Could I meet him, Ethan? Ryan blinked. You want to meet my son? I want to understand who you are when you're not here. I want to know the person I've been working beside for 3 years and apparently know nothing about. Ryan considered it. Every instinct told him this was a terrible idea. Mixing personal and professional, letting Selena into the one part of his life that had nothing to do with schedules and investor calls. But the look on her face, vulnerable, uncertain, human. Mario's Pizza. Ryan heard himself say, 7 o'clock. It's a loud, chaotic place full of kids and arcade games. Not your usual scene. I don't care. Ethan's going to ask you 1,000,000 questions. Good. And if you show up, he's going to assume things. About us. Kids do that. Selena stood, meeting his eyes. What if I want him to assume things? Ryan's heart kicked hard against his ribs. Ms. Vaughn. Selena. If I'm meeting your son, you should probably use my actual name. Selena, Ryan said carefully. What are we doing here? Picked. I don't know, she admitted. But I'm tired of pretending I don't care. I'm tired of being alone in a room full of people. And I'm tired of watching the one person who actually sees me walk out the door to a life I know nothing about. Ryan felt the ground shift beneath him. 3 years. 3 years of careful distance, professional boundaries, unspoken rules, and now Selena Vaughn was standing in front of him, asking to be let in. 7 o'clock, Ryan said quietly. Don't be late. Ethan hates waiting. Selena's smile was small, real, and terrifying. I won't be. Ryan left the office, riding the elevator down 42 floors with his mind spinning. He had no idea what he'd just started. No idea if this was the smartest or stupidest decision he'd ever made. But as he pushed through the lobby doors and into the spring evening, one thought kept circling back. For the first time in 3 years, Selena Vaughn had looked at him like he wasn't just the perfect employee. She'd looked at him like he was someone worth knowing. And that changed everything. Ryan picked up Ethan from after-school care at 6:08, which gave them exactly 52 minutes to get home, let the kid change out of his grass-stained shorts, and make it to Mario's before the dinner rush turned the parking lot into a war zone. Ethan was talking before he even buckled his seatbelt. Dad, guess what happened at recess? What happened at recess? Marcus said his birthday party is going to have a bounce house and a dunk tank. But I told him that's impossible because you can't have both in one backyard unless your backyard is like a football field. And his backyard is definitely not a football field because I've been there and it's actually pretty small. So either he's lying or his parents are renting some kind of event space. which seems like a lot of trouble for a 9-year-old's birthday party, don't you think? Ryan merged into traffic, suppressing a smile. Sounds like Marcus has big plans. Yeah, but mine's going to be better because we're going to Mario's and they have the racing game. And also you promised I could get the giant pizza with everything on it. Half everything. The other half is getting normal toppings because I'm not eating anchovies. Anchovies are good. Anchovies are fish that got confused about whether they wanted to be food or bait. Ethan giggled, kicking his feet against the back of the seat. You're weird. You're weird. You're weirder. This was their routine. The easy back and forth that happened when it was just the two of them. No pressure, no performance. Ryan had spent the last 6 years building a life where Ethan felt safe enough to be goofy, loud, and completely himself. It wasn't always clean or organized or impressive, but it was theirs. They made it home by 6:34. Ethan bolted upstairs to change while Ryan checked his phone. One missed call from Selena. No voicemail. His stomach tightened. Maybe she'd changed her mind. Maybe the idea of sitting in a loud pizza place with an 8-year-old and his single dad felt too messy, too far outside her carefully controlled world. Maybe his phone buzzed. Selena. I'm here. Is this the right place? There's a guy in a tomato costume outside. Ryan let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Ryan. That's Luigi. He's part of the experience. Selena. He just asked if I wanted a balloon animal. Ryan. Did you say yes? Selena. I said I'd think about it. Ryan smiled despite himself. Dad! Ethan appeared at the top of the stairs wearing a clean shirt and his favorite sneakers, the ones with lights in the heels. We're gonna be late. We're not gonna be late. We're gonna be late. Ryan grabbed his keys. Let's go, she. They made it to Mario's at 6:57. The parking lot was already half full, and through the windows, Ryan could see the familiar chaos of families crowded into red vinyl booths, arcade games flashing in the corner, and servers weaving between tables with trays piled high with pizza. And standing near the entrance, looking wildly out of place in tailored slacks and a silk blouse, was Selena Vaughn. Ethan spotted her immediately. Who's that? Ryan's mouth went dry. That's my boss. Your boss is here? Yeah. Why? Because I invited her. Ethan's eyes went wide. Is this a date? No, it's dinner with you for your birthday. But she's a girl. She's a woman, and she's my friend. You don't have friends. I have friends. Name one. Ryan sighed. Get out of the car. Ethan unbuckled and hopped out, immediately running towards Selena with the kind of fearless enthusiasm only 8-year-olds possessed. Ryan followed more slowly, trying to figure out how to explain the situation in a way that didn't sound completely insane. Hi. Ethan skidded to a stop in front of Selena. I'm Ethan. Are you my dad's boss? Selena blinked down at him, clearly unsure how to respond to a child who had materialized out of nowhere and immediately started interrogating her. I am. Cool. Do you pay him a lot of money? Ethan. Ryan caught up, mortified. But Selena's mouth twitched. I pay him what he's worth. That's good, Ethan said seriously. Because we have rent, and also I need new cleats for soccer, and Dad says they're expensive. Ryan wanted the ground to open up and swallow him whole. Ethan, maybe let's not lead with our financial situation. Why not? She asked. I didn't ask. She's here, so she obviously wants to know stuff about us. Selena looked at Ryan, and for the first time since he'd known her, she seemed genuinely amused. He's got a point. Ryan pinched the bridge of his nose. Let's just go inside. Mario's was exactly as loud and chaotic as Ryan had warned. The hostess seated them in a corner booth near the arcade, where the electronic beeping and cheering blended into a constant wall of noise. Ethan immediately started rattling off his pizza order. Half supreme with extra cheese, half pepperoni, no vegetables except maybe olives if they were the black kind, and the server nodded patiently before turning to Selena. And for you? Selena glanced at the menu like it was written in a foreign language. I'll have whatever he's having. The server left. Ethan propped his chin on his hands and stared at Selena with unnerving intensity. "So," he said, "are you my dad's girlfriend?" Ryan choked on his water. "Ethan." "What? I'm just asking." Selena, to her credit, didn't flinch. "No, I'm not his girlfriend." "Do you want to be?" "Ethan." "Dad, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening." "What's happening is we're having pizza. That's it." Ethan looked unconvinced. "You never invite people to my birthday dinner. That's because your birthday dinner is usually just us." "Exactly. So why is she here?" Ryan opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no good answer for that. Why was Selena here? Because she'd asked to be? Because he'd felt sorry for her? Because some part of him wanted her to see the life he'd built outside the office? Selena saved him. "I'm here because your dad is important to me, and I realized I didn't know anything about his life outside of work. I wanted to change that." Ethan considered this. "Okay, what do you want to know?" "Everything." The kid's face lit up. For the next 20 minutes, Ethan talked non-stop. He told Selena about soccer practice, his favorite video game, the science project he was building with his friend Marcus, Shotits, the substitute teacher who let them have extra recess, and the lizard he wanted to get, but Dad said they didn't have room for because their apartment was too small. Selena listened to all of it, really listened. She asked follow-up questions, laughed at Ethan's jokes, didn't check her phone once. Ryan watched her transform in real time. The cold, untouchable billionaire who terrified boardrooms disappeared, replaced by someone who seemed genuinely interested in why 8-year-olds thought fart jokes were the height of comedy. When the pizza arrived, Ethan dug in immediately, tomato sauce smearing across his cheek within seconds. Selena picked up her slice more carefully, taking a small bite. "This is really good," she said, sounding surprised. "It's the best pizza in the city," Ethan declared. "Dad and I come here all the time." "All the time might be overselling it," Ryan said. "Once a month. That's all the time." Selena smiled. "How long have you two been coming here?" "Forever," Ethan said. "Since I was like 5. 3 years, Ryan corrected, right after we moved to the city. Selena's gaze sharpened. "You moved here 3 years ago?" "Yeah. Same time you started working for me." "Yeah, in Basuam." She set down her pizza. "Why did you move?" Ryan hesitated. This wasn't a story he told often. Most people didn't ask, and the ones who did usually got the short version, vague references to a bad situation and a fresh start. But Selena was looking at him like the answer actually mattered. "Ethan's mom left when he was 2, Ryan said quietly. "We were living in Cleveland. One day she was there, and the next day she wasn't. No note, no explanation. I spent 6 months trying to figure out if she was coming back, and then I realized she wasn't. So I packed up, found a job here, and started over." Selena's expression softened. That must have been terrifying. It was necessary. Still terrifying. Ryan shrugged. "You do what you have to do." Ethan, oblivious to the weight of the conversation, reached for another slice. "Dad's really good at doing stuff he has to do. He never complains." "I complain," Ryan said, not out loud. Selena looked between them, something unreadable crossing her face. "You're lucky to have each other." "I know," Ethan said simply. Then he turned back to Selena. "Do you have kids?" "No." "Do you want kids?" "Ethan, I never really thought about it," Selena said honestly. "I've been focused on work for so long, I didn't think there was room for anything else." "There's always room," Ethan said with the confidence of someone who had no idea how complicated adult life could be. "You just have to make it." Selena's smile was small and sad. "You're pretty wise for 8. I'm almost 8. Technically, I'm still 7 until tomorrow." "Then you're wise for 7. Ethan grinned, clearly pleased with himself. They finished eating, and Ethan immediately dragged Selena over to the arcade. Ryan followed, watching as his son tried to teach a billionaire how to play a racing game that required slamming a plastic steering wheel back and forth, while cartoon characters screamed encouragement. Selena was terrible at it. She kept overcorrecting, crashing into walls, getting lapped by Ethan's car. But she laughed, really laughed, in a way Ryan had never heard before, loud and unguarded and completely free. "You're really bad at this," Ethan informed her. I'm aware. You want me to show you again? Please. They played 3 more rounds. Selena lost every single one, but she didn't seem to care. By the time they left Mario's, it was almost 9. Ethan was buzzing with sugar and birthday excitement, talking a mile a minute about how Selena promised to come to his soccer game next week if Ryan said it was okay. Ryan glanced at Selena as they walked toward the parking lot. You don't have to do that. I want to. It's loud and long, and there's a lot of standing on a field in the sun. Ryan, I sat through a 2-hour investor meeting yesterday where a man spent 40 minutes explaining why his projections were off by 3%. I think I can handle a kid's soccer game. He laughed despite himself. Fair enough. They reached Selena's car, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than Ryan made in a year. She unlocked it, but didn't get in. Thank you, she said quietly, for letting me crash your dinner. You didn't crash. I invited you. Still, I know this is your time with Ethan. I don't want to intrude. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. She seemed smaller somehow, less armored than she did in the office, vulnerable in a way that made his chest ache. You weren't intruding, Mosim, he said. Ethan liked you. Yeah? Yeah, he doesn't warm up to people that fast. You made an impression. Selena's smile was uncertain. Good impression or bad impression? Good. Definitely good. She exhaled slowly like she'd been holding her breath. I meant what I said in the office. I'm tired of being alone. Selena, I know this is complicated. I know I'm your boss, and there are 1,000 reasons why this is a terrible idea, but I can't stop thinking about you, about this. She gestured vaguely at the restaurant behind them. About the fact that you've built this entire life that I knew nothing about, and it's real and messy and beautiful, and I want to be part of it. Ryan's heart was hammering. You don't know what you're asking. Then tell me. Being with me means being with Ethan. It means soccer games and school events and late-night homework meltdowns. It means canceled plans because he's sick or needs help with a project. It means he comes first, always, no matter what. I know. Do you? Because I've dated before and it never works. Women say they understand, but then they get frustrated when I can't be spontaneous or when a date gets cut short because Ethan needs me. They want the version of me that doesn't come with a kid attached. All right. Selena stepped closer. I don't want a version of you. I want all of you. The employee who anticipates problems before they happen. The father who packs lunches and shows up to birthday dinners. The man who rebuilt his entire life from scratch because it was necessary. I want to know that person. Oh. Ryan felt something crack open in his chest. I don't know if I can do this. Do what? Mix work and personal. Keep boundaries. I've spent 3 years being your assistant, and now you're asking me to be something else. And I don't know how to be both. So don't be both, Selena said. Be whatever feels right. And what if what feels right screws up everything we've built professionally? Then we'll figure it out. Ryan laughed bitterly. You make it sound simple. It's not simple. It's terrifying, but I'm tired of being afraid. They stood there at the parking lot, the noise from Mario's fading into the background. Ethan was in the car, probably playing a game on Ryan's phone, oblivious to the fact that his father's entire world was shifting. I need time, Ryan said finally, to think about this, to figure out if it's even possible. Okay, and I need you to understand that if we do this, Ethan's happiness comes first. If he gets hurt or confused or feels like he's being pushed aside, I'm out. No discussion. Bull. I wouldn't expect anything less. Ryan searched her face, looking for doubt or hesitation, but all he saw was raw honesty. I'll think about it, he said. Selena nodded. That's all I'm asking. She got into her car and drove away, leaving Ryan standing in the parking lot trying to make sense of what had just happened. When he climbed into his own car, Ethan looked up from the phone. So is she your girlfriend now? No, but she wants to be. It's complicated. Adults always say that when they mean yes, but don't want to admit it. Ryan started the engine. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't listen. They drove home in comfortable silence, but Ryan's mind was racing. He kept replaying the conversation, Selena's words echoing in his head. She wanted all of him. The messy, complicated, exhausting reality of being a single father who barely had time to breathe, let alone date. But did he want that? Did he want to let someone into the fragile life he'd built, risk the stability he'd fought so hard to create? By the time they got home, Ryan still didn't have an answer. He tucked Ethan into bed, listened to him ramble about how cool Selena was, and how she promised to learn more about soccer before the game, and then sat alone in the dark living room staring at his phone. He typed out a dozen messages to Selena and deleted every one. Finally, he settled on something simple. Ryan, thank you for tonight. Ethan had a great time. Her response came almost immediately. Selena, so did I. Ryan stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Selena, I meant what I said. I want this. Whatever this is. Ryan, I know. I'm just trying to figure out if I can give you what you're asking for. Selena, I'm not asking for perfection, Ryan. I'm asking for a chance. He set the phone down, exhaling slowly. A chance. That's all it was. A chance to see if the careful distance he'd maintained for 3 years could become something else. A chance to let someone see him fully, not as the perfect employee, but as the flawed, exhausted, trying his best father who sometimes burned dinner and forgot to sign permission slips and had no idea what he was doing half the time. Could Selena handle that? Could he? The next morning, Ryan woke up to 17 missed calls from work. His blood went cold. 17 calls meant something had gone catastrophically wrong. He checked the timestamps. All of them between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., all from Selena's direct line. He called back immediately. She answered on the first ring. Where have you been? Asleep. What happened? The Jakarta deal fell through. They pulled out at midnight. No warning, no explanation. I've been trying to salvage it for the past 4 hours, but I need the contract files, and you're the only one who knows where everything is. Ryan was already out of bed, pulling on clothes. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Ryan, it's 6 in the morning. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He woke Ethan, explained that he had to go into work early, and called the neighbor who sometimes watched him in emergencies. Mrs. Chen answered groggily but agreed to come over. Ryan left her a 20 on the counter, kissed Ethan on the forehead, and bolted out the door. He made it to the office in 23 minutes. Selena was at her desk, hair pulled back in a messy knot, jacket discarded, looking like she'd been through a war. Her eyes were bloodshot, and there were coffee cups scattered across every surface. Tell me what you need, Ryan said. For the next 6 hours they worked. Ryan pulled files, cross-referenced contracts, drafted emails to lawyers in 3 different time zones. Selena made calls, negotiated extensions, threatened lawsuits, and somehow convinced the Jakarta team to get back on a video conference by noon. By the time the deal was tentatively salvaged, it was almost 3 in the afternoon. Selena slumped back in her chair, rubbing her eyes. I owe you. You don't owe me. This is my job. Martin. Your job doesn't include showing up at 6 in the morning on your son's birthday. Ryan froze. He'd completely forgotten. In the chaos of the Jakarta crisis, Ethan's actual birthday had slipped his mind entirely. I have to go, he said suddenly. Selena looked up. What? I promised Ethan I'd pick him up from school today. It's his birthday. I can't miss it. Ryan, it's 3 o'clock. School doesn't end until 3:15. I know. I have to go. He grabbed his jacket and was halfway to the door when Selena called after him. Ryan. He turned. She was standing now, looking at him with something that might have been admiration or exhaustion or both. You're a good father. I'm trying to be. You are. He left. Ryan made it to Ethan's school at 3:17, 2 minutes late. His son was standing on the curb with his backpack, looking annoyed. You're late, Ethan said. I know. I'm sorry. You said you'd be here at 3:15, Os. I said I'd try to be here at 3:15. That's the same thing. Ryan crouched down to eye level. You're right. I messed up. Work got crazy, and I should have left earlier. I'm sorry. Ethan's expression softened. It's okay. Mrs. Chen said you had an emergency. I did. But that's not an excuse. Today's your day, and I should have been here on time. Did you fix the emergency? Mostly. Then it's fine. Ethan threw his arms around Ryan's neck. Can we get ice cream now? But Ryan laughed, relief flooding through him. Yeah, bud, we can get ice cream. They went to the place down the street that served cones bigger than Ethan's head. Ryan got vanilla. Ethan got something neon blue that was probably 50% food dye, and they sat on the bench outside watching people walk by. Dad? Ethan said around a mouthful of ice cream. Yeah? I like Selena. Ryan's stomach flipped. Yeah? Yeah, she's cool and she's really bad at video games, which is funny. She's bad at a lot of things that aren't work. That's okay. You can teach her. Ryan smiled. Maybe. Are you going to date her? I don't know yet. Why not? Because it's complicated. Ethan rolled his eyes. You keep saying that. Because it's true. But you like her. Yeah, I do. And she likes you. I think so. Then what's complicated? Ryan looked at his son, 8 years old today, still small enough to believe that liking someone was enough. That love was simple and straightforward and didn't come with 1,000 different ways to fail. I'm scared, Ryan admitted. Ethan frowned. Of what? Of messing things up, of bringing someone into our life and then having it fall apart and you getting hurt. Dad. Ethan set down his ice cream, suddenly serious. I'm not going to get hurt just because you date someone. I'll get hurt if you're sad all the time because you're lonely. Ryan's throat tightened. I'm not lonely. Yeah, you are. You think I don't notice, but I do. You're always working or taking care of me, and you never do anything just for you. Selena makes you smile. That's good. Ryan pulled his son into a hug, ice cream and all. When did you get so smart? I keep telling you, I've always been smart. That night after Ethan was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Ryan sent Selena a message. Ryan, let's try this. Slowly. No pressure, no expectations. Just see what happens. Her response came 30 seconds later. Selena. Okay. Ryan. But Ethan comes first, always. Selena. I know. I wouldn't want it any other way. Ryan. And if it doesn't work, we go back to professional. No drama, no weirdness. Selena. Agreed. Ryan. Okay then. Selena. Okay then. He set the phone down, heart racing. He'd just agreed to date his boss. The woman who controlled every aspect of his professional life was now going to be part of his personal life. It was possibly the worst idea he'd ever had. But as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Ryan couldn't shake the image of Selena laughing in the arcade, completely unselfconscious and free. Maybe terrible ideas were worth it sometimes. Maybe the risk of falling was better than never jumping at all. The first 2 weeks were awkward as hell. Ryan showed up to work at 7:43 like always, made Selena's coffee at 8:29 like always, and managed her schedule with the same precision he'd maintained for 3 years. But now there was a strange tension humming beneath everything, a constant awareness that the woman sitting 20 feet away had held his hand in the parking lot of a pizza restaurant and told him she wanted more. They didn't talk about it at the office. Selena was all business during the day, firing off instructions and managing crises with her usual cold efficiency. But sometimes Ryan would catch her looking at him when she thought he wasn't paying attention, and the expression on her face was nothing like the icy billionaire everyone else saw. It was softer, uncertain, almost hopeful. Their first real date happened on a Tuesday. Ryan had arranged for Mrs. Chen to watch Ethan after school, which meant he had exactly 3 hours of freedom before he needed to be home for bedtime. Selena suggested dinner at some French place downtown that probably required reservations 6 months in advance, but Ryan steered them toward a Thai restaurant near his apartment instead. This place doesn't exactly scream romance, Selena said, glancing around at the plastic chairs and laminated menus. It's good food, and they don't care if you linger. That's all we need. They ordered too much: pad thai, green curry, spring rolls, mango sticky rice, and spent the first 20 minutes in relative silence, both of them clearly trying to figure out how to act like normal people on a date instead of boss and assistant. Finally, Selena set down her fork. This is weird, right? So weird. I don't know how to talk to you outside of work. Ryan laughed. Yeah, I noticed. You noticed? You've asked me 3 times if I need the Singapore files updated. We're not at the office. I don't care about the Singapore files right now. Selena winced. Sorry. I don't know how to turn it off. Then don't. Just talk to me like a person. You are a person. You know what I mean. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. Okay, fine. Tell me something I don't know about you. Ryan considered it. I used to play guitar. Used to? Haven't touched one in 6 years. Sold it when Ethan was born because we needed the money for diapers. Selena's expression shifted. Do you miss it? Sometimes, but not enough to prioritize it over everything else. That's sad. That's life. It doesn't have to be. Ryan shrugged. When you're raising a kid alone, a lot of things fall by the wayside. Hobbies, friends, sleep. You just get used to it. Selena was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke again, her voice was softer. Do you resent it? Having to give up so much? No. Ethan's the best thing that ever happened to me. No. Ethan's the... Everything else is just noise. Even dating? Ryan met her eyes. Especially dating. Then why are you here with me? Because you asked. And because some part of me is curious about what happens if I actually let someone in. Selena reached across the table, fingers brushing his. I'm terrified I'm going to screw this up. Join the club. No, I mean it. I don't know how to do this. I've spent my entire adult life building walls, and now I'm supposed to just, what? Tear them down because I like you? You don't have to tear them down all at once. We can go slow. I'm not good at slow. Then learn. She smiled, small and genuine. You're bossy when you're not at work. You're human when you're not at work. Is that a compliment? Yeah, it is. They finished dinner and walked back to Ryan's car. The evening air was cool, and the city hummed around them with the kind of easy energy that made everything feel possible. Selena walked close enough that their shoulders brushed, and Ryan found himself hyper-aware of every point of contact. When they reached the car, Selena turned to face him. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you say yes? To this? To me? Ryan thought about it. Because you looked at Ethan like he mattered. Most people I've dated either ignore him completely or treat him like an accessory. You actually listened to him. That meant something. Selena's eyes softened. He's a great kid. Yeah, he is. And you're a great father. I'm trying. You're succeeding. Ryan felt something warm unfold in his chest. Thanks. They stood there for a moment, the space between them charged with possibility. Then Selena leaned in and kissed him. It was tentative at first, almost questioning, but when Ryan kissed her back, it deepened into something real. Her hand came up to his jaw, his fingers tangled in her hair, and for a few seconds, the rest of the world disappeared entirely. When they finally pulled apart, Selena was breathless. I've wanted to do that for months. Months? Since the investor meeting in February. You caught a mistake in the contracts that would have cost us millions, and you just casually pointed it out like it was nothing. I spent the entire meeting trying not to stare at you. Ryan laughed. You're terrible at hiding things. Apparently. He checked his watch. 8:47. He had 13 minutes to get home before Ethan's bedtime. I have to go. I know. But I want to do this again. Me too. Ryan kissed her one more time, quick and sure, and then got in the car. As he drove away, he could see Selena in the rearview mirror, standing under a streetlight with a smile that looked almost giddy. He made it home at 8:56. Mrs. Chen was on the couch watching a cooking show, and Ethan was supposedly in bed but was definitely still awake because Ryan could hear him giggling at something on his tablet. How was he, Ma? Ryan asked. Perfect, as always. He finished his homework, ate all his vegetables, and only asked about you 17 times. Ryan handed her $40. Thanks for staying late. Any time. She grabbed her purse and paused at the door. The lady you're seeing, she makes you happy? Ryan blinked. How did you shoot? You've been smiling at your phone for 2 weeks. I'm old, not blind. He laughed. Yeah, she makes me happy. Good, you deserve it. After she left, Ryan went upstairs to find Ethan sprawled across his bed, tablet glowing in the dark. You're supposed to be asleep, Ryan said. I was waiting for you. Why? Because I wanted to know how the date went. Ryan sat on the edge of the bed. It went good. Just good? Really good. Ethan grinned. Did you kiss her? That's none of your business. You totally kissed her. Go to sleep. Dad? Yeah? I'm glad you're not lonely anymore. Ryan's throat tightened. He leaned down and kissed his son's forehead. Me too, bud. The next morning at work, things were different. Selena smiled at him when she arrived, an actual smile, not the tight professional one she used with clients. She asked if he wanted coffee from the good place down the street instead of the office sludge. And when they were alone in her office reviewing the quarterly reports, she reached over and squeezed his hand. Last night was nice, she said. Yeah, it was. When can we do it again? Ryan pulled up his mental calendar. Friday? Ethan's got a sleepover at Marcus's house. I'm free all evening. Selena's smile widened. Friday works. But Friday didn't work. On Thursday afternoon, the Miami deal that Selena had been chasing for 6 months suddenly accelerated. The sellers wanted to close by Monday, which meant the entire weekend was now consumed by legal reviews, financial projections, and emergency strategy sessions. Ryan spent Friday night at the office until midnight, ordering takeout and fact-checking contracts while Selena argued with lawyers on speakerphone. When he finally got home, he collapsed into bed fully clothed and slept through his alarm. Saturday was worse. The deal terms kept shifting. Every time they thought they had an agreement, the sellers moved the goalposts. Selena was running on caffeine and sheer stubbornness, and Ryan could see the exhaustion creeping into her eyes. By Sunday morning, they'd been working for 72 hours straight. Ryan was at his desk reviewing a contract amendment when his phone buzzed. Ethan. Dad, where are you? Ryan's heart sank. He'd completely forgotten. Ethan's soccer game was today. First game of the season, and Ryan had promised he'd be there. Ryan. I'm so sorry, bud. Work emergency. I'm trying to get out of here. Ethan. You promised Ryan. I know. I'm sorry. Ethan. Whatever. Ryan stared at the screen, guilt twisting in his gut. He stood up and walked into Selena's office. I need to leave. She looked up from her laptop, bleary-eyed. What? Ethan's soccer game. It starts in 40 minutes. Ryan, we're in the middle of... I know, but I promised him I'd be there. I've already missed Friday, and if I miss this too, he's going to think work is more important than he is. Selena hesitated, and Ryan could see the conflict on her face. She needed him here. The deal was hanging by a thread, and he was the only one who knew where all the pieces were. But she also knew what it meant to break a promise to a kid. Go, she said finally. You sure? No, but go anyway. Ryan grabbed his jacket and ran. He made it to the soccer field at 10:37, 3 minutes before kickoff. Ethan was on the sideline with his team, looking small in his oversized jersey. When he saw Ryan, his face lit up. You came! Of course I came. I promised. I thought you were going to miss it. I almost did, but I'm here. Ethan threw his arms around Ryan's waist, and Ryan held on tight, feeling the guilt ease just slightly. The game was chaotic. Ethan's team was enthusiastic but uncoordinated, and they spent most of the first half chasing the ball in a confused cluster. Ethan played defense, which mostly meant standing in one spot and hoping the ball didn't come near him. Halfway through the second half, it did. One of the opposing players broke through the midfield and charged toward the goal. Ethan, panicking, stuck out his leg and accidentally tripped the kid. The referee blew the whistle. Penalty kick. Ethan looked devastated. The other team scored easily, and when the game ended, a 3-1 loss, Ethan walked off the field with his head down. Ryan met him at the sideline. Hey, you played great. I messed up. You made a mistake. That's different. I cost us the game. It's a team sport, bud. One play doesn't decide the whole thing. Ethan didn't look convinced, but he let Ryan pull him into a hug. On the drive home, Ethan was quiet. Too quiet. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. You mad at me? No. You sure? Because you've got your mad face on. I'm not mad, I'm just... Ethan sighed. You almost didn't come. But I did. But you almost didn't, and that's because of work. And work is because of Selena. Ryan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Selena's not the reason I almost missed your game. The job is. And I've been doing this job for 3 years, long before I started dating her. But it's different now. How? Because now you're trying to make her happy and make me happy, and sometimes you can't do both. Ryan pulled into their apartment complex and turned off the engine. He shifted to face his son. You're right. Sometimes I can't do both. And when that happens, you come first, always. That's not going to change just because I'm dating someone. But what if she gets mad? Then she gets mad. You're my priority, Ethan. Not her, not work, not anything else. You. Ethan's eyes were shiny. Promise? Promise. The kid nodded, seeming satisfied. They went inside and Ryan made grilled cheese for lunch while Ethan recapped every detail of the soccer game, including the penalty kick, which he now seemed to find kind of funny. Later that afternoon, Ryan's phone rang. Selena, he answered. Hey. The deal closed. Her voice was flat with exhaustion. That's great. We got everything we wanted, full acquisition, favorable terms, closing in 2 weeks. Congratulations. There was a pause, then quieter. I missed you. Ryan's chest tightened. I missed you too. How was the game? Chaotic. Ethan tripped a kid and felt terrible about it. But he's fine now. I'm sorry you had to choose. I'm not. He needed me there. I know. That's why I let you go, she gulped. Ryan leaned against the kitchen counter, watching Ethan build something elaborate out of Legos in the living room. This is going to keep happening, you know? Work emergencies that conflict with his stuff. I can't always drop everything. I know. And sometimes I'm going to have to choose him over you. I know that too. Does that bother you? Selena was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, a little, but not for the reasons you think. What do you mean? I'm not jealous of Ethan. I'm jealous that he gets the version of you that drops everything and shows up, no matter what. I want that too. But I also know I don't deserve it the same way he does. Ryan closed his eyes. Selena, it's okay. I'm working on it, on being okay with not being the center of someone's world. You're not just someone. You're important to me, but not more important than him. No, not more important than him. Good, Selena said, and she sounded like she meant it. That's how it should be. They talked for another 20 minutes about the deal, about the office gossip that had started circulating about them, about how weird it was to date someone you saw every single day at work. By the time they hung up, Ryan felt steadier. This could work. It wouldn't be easy, and it wouldn't be clean, but maybe it could work. Over the next few weeks, they found a rhythm. Selena came to Ethan's next soccer game and cheered louder than anyone when he accidentally scored a goal off a deflection. She learned that Ryan's favorite coffee order was a flat white with oat milk, and she started having it delivered to his desk on particularly brutal mornings. She even sat through an entire PTA meeting at Ethan's school because Ryan had mentioned he dreaded going alone. But there were hard moments too. Like the night Ryan had to cancel dinner plans because Ethan spiked a fever and needed to stay home. Or the morning Selena snapped at him in front of the entire executive team because he'd forgotten to forward an email, and he had to swallow his anger and stay professional even though she'd apologized later. Or the weekend they'd planned a trip to the coast, just the two of them, and Ryan had to back out at the last minute because Ethan's mom showed up unannounced. That one nearly broke them. Ryan had been looking forward to the trip for weeks. 2 days away from the city, no work, no responsibilities, just him and Selena figuring out what this thing between them actually was. But on Friday afternoon, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hello? Ryan? It's Amanda. His blood went cold. Amanda, Ethan's mom, the woman who'd walked out 6 years ago and never looked back. What do you want? I'm in town. I want to see Ethan. No. Ryan, he's my son. You lost the right to call him that when you disappeared. I made a mistake. I was young and scared, and I didn't know how to handle it. But I'm different now. I'm sober, I'm stable, and I want to be part of his life. Ryan's hand tightened around the phone. You don't get to just show up after 6 years and demand access. That's not how this works. I'm not demanding. I'm asking. The answer is no. I'll go to court if I have to, so go ahead. You abandoned him. No judge is going to side with you. There was a long pause, then Amanda's voice cracked. Please, I just want to see him. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Ryan wanted to say no, wanted to hang up and block her number and pretend this conversation never happened. But then he thought about Ethan. Ethan, who sometimes asked about his mom, even though Ryan always gave vague, unsatisfying answers. Ethan, who deserved the chance to decide for himself whether he wanted a relationship with the woman who gave birth to him. 1 hour, Ryan said finally. Supervised. At a public place. And if he gets upset or uncomfortable, you leave. Understood? Understood. What? They met at a park near the apartment. Amanda showed up looking nervous and older than Ryan remembered, thinner, with lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. Ethan stood behind Ryan, gripping his hand. Hi, Ethan, Amanda said softly. I know who you are, Ethan said. Amanda's face crumpled. You do? Dad showed me pictures. Oh. They sat on a bench and Amanda asked Ethan about school, about soccer, about his favorite foods. Ethan answered politely but didn't let go of Ryan's hand. After 45 minutes, Ethan turned to Ryan. Can we go home now? Yeah, bud, we can go. Amanda stood, tears streaming down her face. Can I see him again? Ryan looked at Ethan. What do you think? Ethan considered it. Maybe, but I don't want to live with you or anything. I'm not asking you to. I just want to know you. Okay, but Dad has to be there. Of course. They left the park, and Ryan felt like he'd just survived a natural disaster. That night, he called Selena and told her everything. Are you okay? She asked. No, but I will be. Do you still want to go on the trip? Ryan sighed. I can't. Ethan's dealing with a lot right now, and I don't want to leave him. I understand. I'm sorry. Don't be. He needs you. Yeah, he does. There was a pause, and then Selena said something that made Ryan's chest ache. You're a good father, Ryan, and I'm lucky to be with someone who puts their kid first, even when it's hard. Thanks. I mean it. Most people would have just pawned him off on a babysitter and gone anyway, but you didn't, and that's why She stopped. Why you what? Nothing. Never mind. Selena, I'll see you Monday. She hung up before he could respond. Ryan stared at his phone, replaying the conversation. She'd almost said it, almost told him she loved him. And the terrifying part? He'd almost said it back. Monday morning, the office felt different. Selena was quieter than usual, and Ryan caught her staring at him multiple times with an expression he couldn't quite read. By noon, he couldn't take it anymore. He knocked on her office door. We need to talk. She looked up. About what? About Friday. About what you almost said. Selena's jaw tightened. I didn't say anything. But you wanted to. Ryan, I need to know if this is real for you, because it's starting to feel real for me. And if you're not in the same place, I need to know now before this gets even more complicated. Selena stood, crossing her arms defensively. Of course it's real. Then say it. Say what? What you almost said on the phone. She looked away. I can't. Why not? Well, because if I say it, it becomes real. And if it's real, I can lose it. And I don't know if I can survive losing something else I care about. Ryan moved closer. You're not going to lose me. You don't know that. Neither do you. But we'll never find out if you keep hiding behind walls. Selena's eyes were glassy. I'm terrified. So am I. Then how are we supposed to do this? Together. Scared and messy and imperfect, but together. And she looked at him for a long moment, and then, so quietly he almost missed it, she said, I love you. Ryan's heart stopped. I love you, she said again, stronger this time. And it's terrifying, and I don't know how to do this, but I love you. Ryan kissed her. Right there in her office, in the middle of the workday, with the door wide open and people walking past in the hallway. He kissed her like she was the only solid thing in a world that wouldn't stop spinning. When they finally pulled apart, Selena was crying. I love you too, Ryan said. And yeah, it's scary, but I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They stood there holding each other, and for the first time in 3 years, Ryan felt like maybe, just maybe, he'd found something worth the risk. The office found out 2 days later. Ryan wasn't sure how it happened. Maybe someone saw them through the glass walls of Selena's office. Maybe the security cameras caught the kiss. Or maybe people just noticed the way they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. But by Wednesday afternoon, the gossip was spreading through Carteron Holdings like wildfire. Jennifer from accounting cornered Ryan at the coffee machine. So you and Miss Vaughn, Ryan kept his expression neutral. What about us? Come on, everyone's talking about it. Let them talk. People are saying you've been dating for months, that you've been getting special treatment. Ryan's jaw tightened. I do my job same as always. Nothing's changed, except you're sleeping with the boss. He turned to face her fully, anger simmering beneath his carefully maintained calm. My personal life is none of your business, or anyone else's. Jennifer held up her hands. Hey, I'm not judging. I'm just saying people are going to have opinions. Then they can keep them to themselves. He walked away before he said something he'd regret, but the damage was done. For the rest of the day, he felt eyes on him everywhere he went. Whispers followed him down hallways. People who usually greeted him warmly suddenly looked away. By the time he got home that night, Ryan was exhausted. Ethan was at the kitchen table doing homework, tongue stuck out in concentration as he worked through a math worksheet. He looked up when Ryan walked in. You look bad. Thanks, bud. No, like, really bad. Did something happen? Ryan dropped his bag and collapsed onto the couch. People at work found out about me and Selena. So? So now everyone's got something to say about it. Ethan frowned. Why do they care? Because she's my boss. People think it's weird. Is it weird? I don't know. Maybe. Ethan abandoned his homework and climbed onto the couch next to Ryan. Do you like her? Yeah. Does she like you? Yeah. Then it's not weird. People are just being dumb. Ryan smiled despite himself. When did you get so wise? I keep telling you, I've always been wise. You just don't listen. That night, Ryan texted Selena. Ryan, people know. Her response came immediately. Selena, I know. HR called me this afternoon. Ryan, what did they say? Selena, that we need to disclose the relationship officially. Fill out paperwork, attend a meeting about workplace conduct, the usual corporate nonsense. Ryan, you okay with that? Selena, are you? Ryan, yeah, I don't want to hide it. Selena, good, neither do I. The meeting with HR happened Friday morning. It was painfully awkward. Two stone-faced representatives walked them through policies about favoritism, conflicts of interest, and appropriate workplace boundaries. Ryan had to sign a document acknowledging that his relationship with Selena wouldn't affect his job performance or decision-making. Any questions? The HR director asked. Selena leaned back in her chair. Just one. Is this meeting happening because you're concerned about actual policy violations, or because people are uncomfortable with the idea of me dating my assistant? The director shifted uncomfortably. We have to ensure all relationships are handled appropriately. That's not what I asked. Ms. Vaughn, because if this is about gossip and not about genuine concerns, then we're wasting everyone's time. Ryan touched her arm gently. It's fine. We'll do the paperwork. Selena looked like she wanted to argue, but she nodded. They signed the forms, endured another 10 minutes of corporate jargon, and finally escaped back to the 42nd floor. Once they were alone in the elevator, Selena let out a long breath. That was humiliating. It was necessary. They wouldn't have made us do that if I were dating someone from outside the company. Probably not. Yes. So this is happening because of who you are. My employee. Ryan turned to face her. Do you regret it? Telling people? No, but I hate that you're getting judged for it. I can handle judgment. You shouldn't have to. The elevator doors opened. They stepped out into the quiet hallway, and Ryan caught her hand before she could walk away. Selena, I don't care what people think. The only opinions that matter are mine, yours, and Ethan's. Everyone else can deal with it. She squeezed his hand. You make it sound simple. It is simple. We like each other. Everything else is just noise. Selena's smile was small and tired. I wish I had your confidence. You literally run a billion-dollar company. You have plenty of confidence. Not about this. Ryan pulled her closer, lowering his voice. Then trust me. We'll figure it out. She kissed him quickly, just a brush of lips, before pulling away and disappearing into her office. Ryan went back to his desk and tried to focus on work, but his mind kept circling back to the same thought. This was going to get harder before it got easier. The first real test came 2 weeks later. Selena had a major presentation scheduled with a group of potential investors from Singapore. It was the kind of high-stakes meeting that could make or break a deal worth hundreds of millions, and she'd been preparing for weeks. Ryan had helped her rehearse the pitch so many times he could recite it in his sleep. He knew every slide, every data point, every argument she planned to make. The night before the presentation, Selena was a wreck. She called Ryan at 11 p.m., voice tight with anxiety. I can't do this. Yes, you can. What if I forget the numbers? What if they ask something I'm not prepared for? You've never forgotten numbers in your life, and you're always prepared. But what if… Selena, stop. You're spiraling. There was silence on the other end of the line, then quieter. Can you come over? Ryan glanced at the clock. Ethan was asleep, and Mrs. Chen had already gone home for the night. I can't leave Ethan alone. Right, of course. Sorry. I shouldn't have asked. Hey, you're going to be amazing tomorrow. You always are. I don't feel amazing. That's the anxiety talking. Ignore it. Selena laughed weakly. Easier said than done. They talked for another hour, Ryan walking her through the presentation one more time, reminding her of all the times she'd crushed meetings just like this one, grounding her when the panic threatened to take over. By the time they hung up, it was past midnight. Ryan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wishing he could be there with her, wishing he didn't have to choose between being a father and being a partner. The presentation went perfectly. Selena closed the deal, securing a partnership that would expand Carter & Holdings into 3 new markets. The board was ecstatic. The investors were impressed. And Selena walked out of the conference room looking like she'd just conquered the world. Ryan was waiting outside with coffee and a small box of the expensive chocolates she pretended not to like but always ate anyway. You did it, he said. Selena's smile was radiant. We did it. I didn't do anything. Okay. You talked me off a ledge last night. That counts? She took the coffee and the chocolates, and for a moment they just stood there in the hallway, grinning at each other like idiots. Then Marcus Chen, one of the senior VPs, walked past and muttered just loud enough for them to hear, "Must be nice having the boss's ear." Ryan's smile vanished. Selena's expression went ice cold. Excuse me? Marcus stopped, realizing he'd been overheard. Nothing. Forget it. No, please. Share with the class. Selena, it's fine, Ryan started. It's not fine. She stepped toward Marcus, voice dropping into the dangerous register that usually preceded someone getting fired. You have something to say about my relationship with Ryan. Say it now, to my face. Marcus looked uncomfortable. I just think there's a conflict of interest. He's your assistant. He has access to everything. Your calendar, your files, your strategies. And now he's dating you. It looks bad. It looks bad, Selena repeated slowly. To whom? To everyone. People are talking. Let them talk. It's unprofessional. What's unprofessional is you standing here questioning my judgment and implying that Ryan has somehow manipulated his way into my personal life for professional gain. I didn't say that. But funny. You implied it, and you're wrong. Selena's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Ryan has been nothing but professional for 3 years. He's earned every bit of trust I've placed in him. And the fact that we're dating doesn't change that. If you have a problem with it, take it up with HR. Otherwise, keep your opinions to yourself. Marcus opened his mouth, thought better of it, and walked away. Ryan exhaled slowly. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Now he's going to think you're playing favorites. I don't care what he thinks. Selena. She turned to face him, eyes blazing. I'm not going to let people talk about you like you're some opportunist who's using me. You're not. And I won't stand by and let anyone imply otherwise. Ryan felt something warm and complicated unfold in his chest. Thank you. You don't have to thank me. I'm just telling the truth. But it didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, the tension at the office got worse. People who used to respect Ryan now questioned everything he did. When he rescheduled a meeting, someone accused him of prioritizing Selena's preferences. When he offered input during a strategy session, someone suggested he was parroting her opinions. And through it all, Selena defended him, sometimes publicly, in meetings where people got too bold with their commentary, sometimes privately, in closed-door conversations with executives who thought they could pressure her into ending the relationship. But it was wearing on both of them. One night, after a particularly brutal day, Ryan came home to find Ethan waiting up for him. "You're late," Ethan said. "I know, sorry. You're always late now." Ryan dropped his bag. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You're always working. You leave early, you come home late, and when you're here, you're on your phone talking to Selena." "I'm doing my job, Ethan. But it's different now. You're always stressed. You never have time to just hang out anymore." Ryan felt guilt twist in his stomach. "I'm sorry, work's been crazy. It's not just work, it's her." "Oh, Ethan, I'm not saying I don't like her. I do. But everything changed when you started dating her, and I don't know if I like that part." Ryan sat down on the couch, suddenly exhausted. "Come here." Ethan climbed up next to him, and Ryan pulled him close. "You're right," Ryan said quietly. "Things have changed, and I haven't been as present as I should be. That's on me, not Selena. But she's part of it." "Yeah, she is, but that doesn't mean she's the problem. I'm trying to balance too many things, and I'm not doing a great job." "So what are you going to do?" Ryan didn't have an answer. That weekend, Ryan and Selena had their first real fight. It started over something small. Selena had made plans for them to go to a gallery opening on Saturday without checking if Ryan was free. When he told her he couldn't go because he'd already promised Ethan they'd go to the science museum, she got defensive. "You could bring him," Selena said. "He's 8. He doesn't want to spend his Saturday at an art gallery." "Then reschedule the museum." "I'm not rescheduling. I made a promise." "You always make promises to him. When do I get to be the priority?" The words hung in the air, sharp and accusatory. Ryan's jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "Isn't it? I feel like I'm constantly competing with an 8-year-old for your attention." "He's my son, Selena, not some kid I'm babysitting. He's my responsibility." "I know that, but I'm part of your life too now, and I need to feel like I matter." "You do matter, but he comes first. I told you that from the beginning." "I know what you said, but it's different when you're actually living it." Ryan stood up, anger simmering beneath his carefully controlled exterior. "So what are you saying? That you can't handle being second place?" "I'm saying it's harder than I thought it would be." "Then maybe this was a mistake." The words came out harsher than he intended, and the moment they left his mouth, he regretted them. Selena's face went pale. "You don't mean that?" Ryan ran a hand through his hair, frustration and exhaustion warring inside him. "I don't know what I mean. I just know I can't keep doing this, splitting myself in half trying to make everyone happy and failing at both." "So what do you want to do?" "I don't know." "That's not an answer, Ryan. It's the only one I have right now." Selena grabbed her purse, eyes glassy. "Call me when you figure it out." She left, and Ryan stood alone in his apartment, feeling like he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. Ethan appeared in the doorway, looking worried. "Did you guys break up?" "I don't know." "Are you going to?" "I don't know." Ethan crossed the room and hugged him. "I don't want you to be sad." Ryan held his son tight, throat aching. "I'm not sad. I'm just tired. You should call her and say sorry." "I don't know if sorry is enough." It's a start." Ryan almost smiled. "When did you get so smart?" "Dad, seriously, you need new material." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the fight, trying to figure out where it had gone wrong. Selena was right. He did always prioritize Ethan, but that's what being a parent meant. You didn't get to put yourself first. You didn't get to choose your own happiness over your kids' needs. But Selena was also right that she mattered, that relationships required effort and attention and compromise. And Ryan didn't know how to give her what she needed without shortchanging Ethan. At 2 a.m, his phone buzzed. "Selena, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said what I said." Ryan: "I'm sorry too. I didn't mean it was a mistake." Selena, I know this is hard. I'm trying to figure out how to fit into your life without making it harder. Ryan, you're not making it harder. I'm just bad at balancing things. Selena, we both are. Ryan, can we talk? In person. Selena, tomorrow, after Ethan's asleep. Ryan, okay. The next night, Selena came over after Ethan went to bed. She looked as tired as Ryan felt, and when she sat down on the couch, there was a heaviness between them that hadn't been there before. I've been thinking, Selena said quietly, about what you said, about this being a mistake. I didn't mean, let me finish. She took a breath. I don't think it's a mistake, but I think we've been trying to force this into something it's not ready to be. Ryan's chest tightened. What does that mean? Oh, it means I love you, and I love Ethan, but I don't know how to be the person you need me to be right now. I don't know how to be second place without feeling like I'm being pushed aside. You're not, I know. In my head, I know. But it doesn't always feel that way, and that's my problem to work through, not yours. Ryan reached for her hand. So what do we do? I don't know, but I know I don't want to lose you. You're not going to lose me. Then help me figure this out, because I'm terrified I'm going to screw this up, and I don't know how to stop it. But Ryan pulled her close, and she buried her face in his chest. We'll figure it out, he said quietly, together, one day at a time. Yeshua, promise? Promise. They sat there for a long time, holding each other in the quiet darkness of Ryan's living room. Outside, the city hummed with its usual nighttime energy, indifferent to the small human drama unfolding inside a modest two-bedroom apartment. But inside, two people who'd spent most of their lives convinced they didn't need anyone were learning how to let each other in. It wasn't easy, it wasn't smooth, but it was real. And sometimes that was enough. The breakthrough came 3 weeks later in the most unexpected way. Ethan's school was doing a parent career day, where kids brought their parents in to talk about their jobs. Ryan had done it the year before, showed up in his work clothes, talked vaguely about helping a businesswoman stay organized, and fielded questions from second graders who wanted to know if he got to play video games at work. This year, Ethan asked if Selena could come too. Both of you? Ryan said, surprised. Yeah, I want to show everyone what you guys do. But Selena's really busy. I don't know if she can take time off. Just ask her. So Ryan asked. And to his surprise, Selena said yes immediately. The morning of career day, they drove to the school together. Selena was nervous in a way Ryan had never seen before, fidgeting with her jacket, checking her reflection in the visor mirror, asking if she looked too formal. You look fine, Ryan said. I look like I'm about to fire someone. You always look like you're about to fire someone. She shot him a look, but there was humor in it. When they walked into Ethan's classroom, 23 third graders stared at them with varying degrees of interest. Ethan beamed from his seat in the front row. The teacher, Miss Rodriguez, smiled warmly. Mr. Carter, welcome back. And you must be Ms. Vaughn. Ethan's told us so much about you. He has. Selena looked genuinely surprised. Oh yes, he says you're the smartest person in the world and that you run the whole city. Selena laughed, some of the tension easing from her shoulders. I don't run the whole city, just small parts of it. They spent the next hour talking to the kids about what they did. Ryan explained his job in simple terms, keeping track of schedules, solving problems, making sure everything ran smoothly. The kids seemed mildly interested, but not particularly impressed. Then Selena started talking. She told them about starting her company when she was 25 with nothing but a business plan and stubborn determination. She talked about the buildings she'd bought and renovated, the jobs she'd created, the risks she'd taken that sometimes failed spectacularly. She made business sound like an adventure instead of spreadsheets and conference calls. The kids were mesmerized. One girl raised her hand. Are you rich? Selena didn't hesitate. Yes, but that's not the important part. What's the important part? That I built something that matters. That people who work for me can support their families. That buildings that were falling apart are now places where people live and work and feel safe. A boy in the back spoke up. My dad says rich people are mean. Ryan tensed, but Selena just smiled. Some are, she said honestly. Some people get rich and forget where they came from. They stop caring about anyone except themselves. But you don't have to be that way. You can have money and still be kind. You can be successful and still help people. Another hand shot up. Do you have kids? Selena's smile faltered for just a second. No, I don't. Why not? Because I spent a long time thinking I had to choose between having a career and having a family. I thought I couldn't do both. But now? Selena glanced at Ryan, something soft crossing her face. Now I'm learning that maybe I was wrong. After the presentation, while the kids scattered for recess, Ms. Rodriguez pulled them aside. That was wonderful, she said. You two are great together. Ryan blinked. Together? Well, yes. Ethan talks about you both like you're a team. He says Ms. Vaughn comes to his soccer games and helps with homework and makes his dad smile more. Selena looked at Ryan, eyes wide. He said that? Ryan asked. Miss Rodriguez nodded. He's very proud of both of you. It's sweet. On the drive back, neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Selena broke the silence. I didn't know he thought of me that way. Neither did I. He said I make you smile more. You do. She was quiet for a moment. I want to do this right, Ryan. Not just the relationship part, the whole thing, being part of his life, being someone he can count on. You already are. But I want to be better at it. I want to stop feeling like I'm competing with him for your attention and start feeling like I'm part of the team. Ryan reached over and squeezed her hand. You are part of the team. You have been for a while now. You just didn't realize it. That night, after Ethan went to bed, Selena stayed over. They sat on the couch with takeout containers scattered across the coffee table. And for the first time in weeks, things felt easy. Not perfect, but easy. Like maybe they were finally figuring out how to exist in the same space without constantly worrying about getting it wrong. Can I ask you something? Selena said. Sure. Do you think we're going to make it? Ryan considered the question. Honestly, I don't know. We're messy and complicated, and we're both terrible at asking for what we need. But I know I want to try. That's not very reassuring. You want me to lie and say it's going to be perfect? No, I want you to tell me the truth. Then the truth is, I love you, and I'm scared, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. Selena leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm not telling you to go anywhere. Good. They sat like that for a while, the TV playing something neither of them was watching, the city lights filtering through the windows. Eventually, Selena spoke again. I want to meet her. Ryan stiffened. Who? Amanda, Ethan's mom. Why? Because she's part of his life now. And if I'm going to be part of his life too, I need to understand the whole picture. Ryan pulled back to look at her. You don't have to do that. I know, but I want to. Selena, it's complicated. Everything about us is complicated. I can handle complicated. Ryan thought about it. Amanda had been seeing Ethan once a month for supervised visits, and while the kid didn't seem traumatized, he also didn't seem particularly attached. It was awkward and uncomfortable, and Ryan spent every visit on edge waiting for something to go wrong. But Selena was right. If she was going to be a real part of Ethan's life, she needed to understand all the pieces. Okay, Ryan said finally. Next visit is Saturday. You can come if you want. I want. Saturday came too fast. They met Amanda at the same park as before. She showed up wearing jeans and a sweater, looking less fragile than she had at the first visit, but still uncertain. When she saw Selena, her expression tightened. Who's this? Amanda asked. I'm Selena. I'm Ryan's girlfriend. Amanda's eyes widened. Oh. I wanted to meet you, since we're both going to be part of Ethan's life. Amanda looked at Ryan, clearly thrown. You're dating someone? Yeah. For how long? Few months. And she's already meeting Ethan? Ryan's jaw tightened. That's not really your concern. He's my son. He's been your son for 8 years, and you were only around for the first 2. You don't get to show up now and question my parenting choices. Amanda flinched, but Selena stepped in before things could escalate. I'm not trying to replace you, Selena said calmly. I know you're his mother, but I care about Ethan, and I care about Ryan, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Amanda studied her for a long moment. You really care about him, Ethan? Yes. Enough to stick around when things get hard? I'm still learning how to do that, but yes, I'm trying. Something in Amanda's expression softened. Then you're already doing better than I did. The visit went better than Ryan expected. Ethan showed Amanda the new tricks he'd learned in soccer, talked about school, and asked if she'd seen the new superhero movie everyone was talking about. Amanda listened, asked questions, and for the first time seemed genuinely interested instead of just guilty. Selena sat on a bench nearby, giving them space but staying close enough to be included when Ethan ran over to tell her about something exciting. When the hour was up, Amanda pulled Ryan aside. She's good for you, Amanda said quietly. Yeah, she is. And she's good with Ethan, I can tell. Ryan didn't know what to say to that. Amanda looked down at her hands. I know I don't get to have opinions about your life anymore, but I'm glad you found someone. You deserve to be happy. So does Ethan. I know, that's why I'm trying. I know I can't undo the past 6 years, but maybe I can be part of his future, even if it's just a small part. Ryan wanted to be angry, wanted to tell her that showing up once a month didn't make up for years of absence. But looking at her now, sober, steady, genuinely trying, he couldn't find the anger anymore. Keep showing up, Ryan said. That's all I'm asking. Just keep showing up. I will. On the drive home, Ethan was quieter than usual. You okay, bud? Ryan asked. Yeah, I'm just thinking. About what? About how weird it is that I have 2 moms now. Selena turned in the passenger seat. I'm not trying to be your mom, Ethan. Your mom is Amanda. I know, but you do mom stuff. You come to my games and help with homework and make sure Dad eats vegetables. Selena laughed. I guess I do. So what does that make you? She thought about it. I'm just someone who cares about you. Is that okay? Ethan nodded. Yeah, that's okay. 2 months later, everything changed again. Selena got an offer to expand Carteron Holdings internationally, a massive opportunity that would require her to spend significant time overseas. London, Singapore, Tokyo. 6 months minimum, possibly longer. She told Ryan about it over dinner at her apartment, and he could see the conflict written all over her face. This is huge, Ryan said. I know. You have to take it. Do I? Selena, this is everything you've been working toward. But it means leaving, for months. And I don't know if we can survive that. Ryan set down his fork. So what are you saying? I'm saying I don't want to choose between my career and you, but it feels like that's what this is. It doesn't have to be. How? You can't exactly pick up and move to London with an 8-year-old. No, but we can figure something out. Like what? Ryan didn't have an answer. The idea of Selena being gone for 6 months made his chest tight, but the idea of her giving up this opportunity because of him felt even worse. They fought about it for weeks. Selena wanted to turn down the expansion. Ryan insisted she take it. They went in circles, both of them too stubborn to back down. Finally, Ethan intervened. He'd been listening to them argue in the living room when he suddenly appeared in the doorway, looking annoyed. You guys are being dumb, he announced. Ethan, Ryan started. No, seriously, you're both acting like this is some impossible problem, but it's not. Selena raised an eyebrow. Okay, genius. What's the solution? She goes to London and does her job. You stay here and do your job. And you talk on the phone and visit when you can. People do long distance all the time. It's not that simple, Ryan began. Why not? You love her, she loves you, and you both want this to work. So you make it work. It's not going to be perfect, but nothing ever is. Ryan stared at his son, stunned. Selena looked like she might cry. When did you get so smart? Ethan rolled his eyes. I keep telling you people, I've always been smart. After he went back to his room, Ryan and Selena sat in silence. He's right, Selena said finally. Yeah, he is. I don't want to leave you. I don't want you to go. But I want you to do this. I want you to take the job and build your empire and be everything you're capable of being. Even if it means being apart, even then. Selena took the job, She left for London 6 weeks later, and it was harder than either of them expected. Video calls didn't replace being in the same room. Texts couldn't capture the warmth of holding hands. And the time difference meant they were constantly missing each other. Ryan waking up as Selena was going to bed, Selena having lunch, while Ryan was asleep. But they made it work. Selena sent Ethan postcards from every city she visited. Ryan stayed up late to talk to her even when he was exhausted. And every 6 weeks, one of them got on a plane. Sometimes Selena flying back to the States. Sometimes Ryan and Ethan meeting her in London for long weekends. It wasn't perfect. There were missed calls and canceled plans and nights when the loneliness felt overwhelming. But they didn't give up. 6 months turned into 8, then 10, and then finally, Selena came home. She walked into Ryan's apartment on a Tuesday night without warning, dropping her suitcase in the doorway and pulling him into a kiss that tasted like relief and homecoming in all the months they'd spent apart. Ethan came running from his room, launching himself at her with so much force she almost fell over. "You're back!" he shouted. "I'm back," Selena said, laughing and crying at the same time. "Are you staying?" "Yeah, kiddo, I'm staying." That weekend, they went to Ethan's championship soccer game. The team had made it to the finals, and the stands were packed with parents and siblings and grandparents all cheering at volumes that probably violated noise ordinances. Ryan and Selena stood together near the sideline, close enough to see every play. Ethan was everywhere on the field, running, defending, calling out to his teammates with the kind of confidence that came from a year of practice and growth. In the final minutes of the game, with the score tied, one of Ethan's teammates sent a wild kick toward the goal. The ball bounced off the crossbar, and Ethan, positioned perfectly, jumped and headed it in. The crowd erupted. Ethan spun around, searching the stands, and when he found Ryan and Selena, his face split into the biggest grin Ryan had ever seen. The referee blew the final whistle. Ethan's team won. And when the kid came running off the field, he didn't run to just Ryan. He ran to both of them, threw his arms around both their waists, and held on tight while his teammates celebrated around him. "Did you see that?" Ethan was breathless, sweaty, glowing with happiness. "Did you see the goal?" "We saw it," Selena said, voice thick. "You were amazing," Ryan added. Ethan looked up at them, and something in his expression was different, older somehow, more certain. "I'm glad you're both here," he said simply. And in that moment, standing on a dusty soccer field with noise and chaos swirling around them, Ryan understood something he'd been too afraid to admit before. This was what family looked like. Not perfect, not easy, not the picture people imagined when they thought about relationships and raising kids and building a life, but real. Messy and complicated and full of mistakes, but real. Selena wasn't Ethan's mother, and she never would be. But she was something just as important, someone who showed up, someone who stayed even when it was hard, someone who loved them both enough to keep trying. That night, after they'd celebrated with pizza and ice cream and Ethan had finally crashed from the sugar high, Ryan and Selena sat on the couch in the quiet apartment. "I've been thinking," Selena said. "About what?" "About quitting my job, so..." Ryan's head snapped up. "What?" "No, Selena." "Let me finish." She took his hand. "I don't want to quit the company. I want to step back from being CEO. Hire someone to run day-to-day operations while I focus on strategy and expansion. Spend less time in the office and more time living my actual life. You love that company. I love you more. And I love Ethan. And I'm tired of feeling like I have to choose." Ryan's throat was tight. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. I built something incredible, and I'm proud of it, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life married to a company. I want to be here. With you. With him. Building something that actually matters." "This matters? This is the only thing that matters." Ryan kissed her, soft and slow and full of everything he couldn't put into words. When they pulled apart, Selena was smiling. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we keep doing what we've been doing, taking it one day at a time, messing up and figuring it out and trying again." "That doesn't sound very romantic." "It's the most romantic thing I can think of. Choosing each other over and over, even when it's hard." Selena rested her head on his shoulder. "I can live with that." 3 years later, they were still choosing each other. Selena stepped down as CEO and took on a board position that gave her flexibility and influence without the crushing hours. Ryan left Carteron Holdings and started his own consulting business, helping other executives get organized, which meant better hours and more control over his schedule. Ethan turned 11 and developed an obsession with robotics that Selena encouraged by funding his entry into every competition she could find. Amanda stayed in the picture, not as a primary parent, but as a consistent presence. Once a month, visits turned into twice a month, and while things were never completely comfortable, they were civil, functional, good enough. And on a Saturday morning in June, Ryan woke up to find Selena sitting on the edge of the bed, looking nervous. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing's wrong. I have something to ask you." She pulled out a small box. Ryan's heart stopped. "I know this isn't traditional," Selena said, voice shaking slightly. "And I know we've done everything backwards and broken every rule about how relationships are supposed to work. But I don't care about traditional. I care about you, about us, about building a life that's messy and imperfect and completely ours." She opened the box, revealing 2 rings. "Marry me," she said. "You and Ethan. Be my family, officially." Ryan couldn't speak. "I talked to Ethan already," Selena continued quickly. "I asked if it was okay, and he said yes, obviously." Ethan appeared in the doorway, grinning. "I told her you'd probably cry." "I'm not crying. You're definitely crying." Ryan was absolutely crying. He pulled Selena into a kiss, and somewhere in the background he heard Ethan cheer. When they finally pulled apart, Ryan was laughing and crying and completely overwhelmed. "Yes," he said. "Yes to all of it." Selena slid the ring onto his finger, hands shaking, and then turned to Ethan. "Your turn, kiddo." She pulled out a 3rd ring, smaller, designed for a kid's hand, and Ethan's eyes went wide. "This is for me? You're part of this too, if you want to be." Ethan didn't hesitate. He held out his hand and Selena slid the ring on. "Does this mean you're my mom now?" he asked. Selena's voice was thick. "I'm whatever you want me to be, says." Ethan thought about it. "Can you just be Selena? But like Selena, who's part of the family?" "I can absolutely be that." "Cool." And just like that, it was decided. They got married 3 months later in a small ceremony at the park where they'd had their first real conversation as something more than boss and employee. No big production, no fancy venue, just close friends, Mrs. Chen, Amanda watching from a respectful distance, and Ethan standing between them as they exchanged vows. Ryan promised to love Selena even when she got obsessive about work. Selena promised to love Ryan even when he was annoyingly right about everything. And Ethan promised to love them both even when they were being embarrassing. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There were still hard days, still fights about money and scheduling, and whose turn it was to deal with Ethan's school drama. Still moments when Ryan wondered if he was doing enough, or when Selena worried she'd never fully figure out this whole family thing. But they kept showing up, kept choosing each other, kept building something imperfect and real and worth fighting for. Because that's what love actually looked like. Not the sanitized version people showed on social media. Not the perfect story where everything worked out smoothly. The messy version. The human version. The version where a single father and a billionaire who'd convinced herself she didn't need anyone found each other in a parking garage and decided to take a chance. The version where an 8-year-old kid taught 2 adults that family wasn't about biology or perfection. It was about who showed up, who stayed, and who loved you even when you were difficult. The version where broken people found each other and decided that maybe, just maybe, being broken together was better than being whole alone. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.